If you find yourself wasting time sifting through cluttered Logic sessions with unlabeled audio tracks, this video is for you because we're going to go through a number of mixing session management tips for working in Logic Pro. We'll discuss how to keep sessions tidy with tracks that are organized and easy for you to identify, so that should you ever need to transfer your session to another computer, everything is going to show up where it's supposed to. So with that out of the way, let's get into session management tip number 1. It is one of the most important key commands. I'll give you a minute to guess. That's right, it is save as, Shift Command S. Get into the habit of creating a save as often as possible. You can make a save as for every mix you make and every whim you entertain. It really doesn't take up that much memory, and it allows you to always go back if you make a mistake and mess something up big time. Also, when you're creating your first save as, make sure that you select to create a folder for your project and check any of the relevant boxes. Definitely the audio files one, that's the most important if you're recording audio, but also check the corresponding boxes if you're using Sampler or Alchemy, Ultrabeat, Space Designer, any Apple loops, or if you're using a movie file, you're going to want to check those boxes there. That way everything stays together in the folder, so even if you bring the drive to another computer, all the files should remain in that project folder. Now for naming conventions, one method that you could use is the song name and then the year, month, and day. This would give you a chronological list of saves for you to sift through and recall. But to be honest, my naming conventions are perhaps a little bit more chaotic, and I tend to use the sort by recent tool a lot when searching for my latest mixes. Up next, we're going through some ways to clean up the Logic timeline to make it easier to tell what's going on in the song and what's necessary to the mix. So there's 4 basic tasks for this step. The first is trim out silence, then mute what's unneeded, delete what you're not using, and consider consolidating. So we're going to begin by trimming your audio files. You want to trim out what should be silence, where the files aren't actually contributing anything musical or useful to the mix. Now this is going to reduce noise and ambient hum in your mixes, but it's also going to make it visually easier to make out where each instrument comes into play. Now if you have multiple microphones on a source, let's say you recorded a vocal with 2 microphones to A, B, which one you liked more? Well, you should have decided which one you like more and which one's meant to be in the song and which one you're going to pass on, because I'm going to recommend that you delete the one that you're not using. Now, don't worry, you've still got those tracks with those files on a previous save as, right? And next, you might consider consolidating tracks that you have an abundance of. Say the producer sends you 30 tracks of various types of ambience, and you don't want to look at all of them. Give them a balance and print them to a stereo track. This also works well if you have a huge stack of background vocal parts. Once you give them a balance and print them to a stereo file, they're going to be much easier to work with. Now, I do understand that this commitment may seem a little scary or a little unnecessary, but I find that it allows you to trust your judgment and focus on bigger parts of the mix. This is now one less thing that you have to worry about. And if along the way you find yourself really needing to remix a printed track, you can always go back to a previous version and then import the new bounce of that into your latest mix. And once your session is decluttered, I recommend you create a clean save as before you get to proper mixing. This video is brought to you by DistroKid. If you're an artist looking to release original music onto streaming platforms like Apple Music or Tidal, DistroKid makes it fast and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their royalties and earnings. With the holidays coming up, it's the perfect time to release a cover song, be it spooky themed, Christmas themed, or just because. With DistroKid, you can upload your cover song for $1 per month per song, and they'll handle all of the publishing rights for you. And if you upload your cover song before December 14th, 2025, DistroKid is offering a whopping 50% off cover song fees. You can get started using DistroKid today using the link in the description. And if you're a student or teacher, look out for the educational link for an even larger discount. Now next I want to talk about color coding. Now color coding is a subtle but transformative practice that can turn a cluttered and monotone timeline into something vibrant that tells the story of your song. When you color code your tracks consistently, your brain learns to better understand at a glance what's going on with your mix's instrumentation. Now personally, I like to use yellow for drums and pink for bass. Yellow is a bright and lively color that makes me think of drums, and I use pink so that it's easy to find the bass track because there's usually only one or two of them. Another trick that I find is really helpful is to use different shades of a color for variations within that instrumental group. For example, you can use brighter, more saturated colors for lead instruments and deeper shades for background versions of that instrument. So here I have sky blue for the lead vocal, a wide open, present open sky. And then I have a darker royal blue for the background vocals. I'll use green for guitar and then use the shades to separate their role and tone. Lime green for lead guitar and a darker forest green for rhythm guitar. And just like I made my main drum tracks bright yellow, I might make any auxiliary percussion a darker shade of Dijon. You can save reds and oranges for any stringed instruments, banjo, mandolin, violin, any other horns or samples. And I like to use purple for pianos, organs, or other keyboards. Now, this is very personal, so feel free to use whatever color methods you find work best. Hey, want to learn more and support the channel? You can get an extended cut of this video with extra tips on Patreon, where you can watch my 2023 guest lecture at the University of Lethbridge, where I show you some of the steps that I took to build a career in the music industry. If you enjoy the channel and you want to support me, you can use the Patreon link below for access to more content. Next, let's talk about markers. Markers are really useful so that you can find key events to work on in your song. In Logic, I like to use the arrangement tool for this, which is under the Show Global Tracks button on the top left of the window. You can click the little plus to create a new arrangement marker for each of the sections, then drag them to the length of each section, write out the name of each section, and if you like, assign each one a color. That way you can easily find different sections of your mix to listen from. But feel free to label them however you like. Make markers that make sense to you. Now that you've cleaned up the horizontal aspect of your timeline, it's time to consider the vertical order of your tracks. So first things first, put your intro tracks up top and your outro tracks at the bottom, and order everything else as it appears in the song. Now, everything in the session won't always want to sort this way, but you can use it as a guideline to help give some sense of story to your session's timeline. From there, you can also group together similar and complementary tracks. I like to have the vocals and then the BGs underneath, and then usually piano and lead instruments, chords and melodies. And then I might have the guitars and bass right next to it. Guitars and bass work together. And, I might have drums under bass with the kick drum up top right next to the bass guitar. And then after drums come the auxiliary percussion, and then under that, any effects or ambience. Now, this not only keeps your session organized, but it mirrors how the song naturally develops over time, which will help you to work faster because you always know where to look for a sound. So let me know down in the comments if you have any tips for managing your Logic sessions that I didn't cover in this video, because I want it to be as helpful as possible. And if it did help you out, leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this one. And consider supporting the channel by joining me on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. 'Cause I need some patience.